Introduction on Module 4. The title is Framing Connection Details Based on Australian Standards and Codes. In Module 1, you've learnt about the terminology, technical phrases used in Australian residential projects, different materials, different commercial products, who's involved in a project, and how things work in general. In Module 2, you've learned about designing and drafting roof structural elements such as rafters and ridge beams. And you've learned how to do the drafting as well as the designing. You've learned about the required codes and clauses in the codes that you need to consider in your design to make sure your design complies with Australian standards and codes. In Module 3, you've learned about how to design beams, lintels and columns based on Australian standards and codes, and all the modules were covered while working on 2 projects. So as I was explaining and designing these 2 projects, I was basically teaching you the modules and how to design the beams and lintels and ridge beams. So working on 2 projects throughout the modules and the course. Now, Module 4 is about how to design or how to put framing connection details together. So in Module 2 and Module 3, you've designed all the elements. Now in Module 4, it's like, okay, all the elements are there. How do we connect them together? You need to specify that for your builder. You need to specify the connection details for your client or the contractors working on the project. Now, let me give you an example. Let's say there's a timber beam and timber post. So in Module 2 and 3, you design rafters, beams and posts. Now you need to specify how to connect this timber beam to the timber post. How would you do that? You need to make sure the connection detail that you specify is a common connection detail in Australia. You need to know about the common products available in the market so you can use them in the connection details that you provide. So Module 1 brings you the technical and the knowledge about the common products in the Australian industry, in residential industry, and you can use the information to put the connection details together in Module 4. So in Module 4, I run you through different types of connections, common connection details used in Australian residential projects. Now, back to this example again. You've got a timber beam and a timber post. How would you connect these 2 together? So let's say this timber beam and timber post are in the porch area. If you don't know where is the porch area, all these terms and terminologies are explained in Module 1. And if you know, then that's perfect. Now, how to connect the beam to the post? To connect the beam to the post in the porch area, one way is to have steel plates or flat bars and connecting the timber beam to the timber post using bolts. Now, how do you connect this timber post to the footing? Because this is in the porch area. So how would you connect the timber post to the footing? You can use Prydol products, which they were explained in Module 1 briefly, but I will run you through different connection details in Module 4 in detail. And how would you connect the product to the timber post using bolts, and to the footing you can use cam sets. So when you design something, when you put the drafting together, when you put the connection details together, you need to consider the buildability as well, because it's not just putting something together. It has to be buildable, has to be common, has to be practical, has to be cost effective, and at the same time has to comply with the standards and codes, which all these will be covered in this module. Now, once again, as I did it in Module 1, 2, and 3, same goes for Module 4. I will cover the material in that will be passed on to you in using on-site videos as well, because you need to visualize all the structural elements and connections that we're going to talk about, so you can see how things are exactly connected together in real life projects. So once you see it, you have an image here, and that will be just like it pops up as soon as you see an element. The image will be in here. So on-site videos and on-site photos explaining different types of connections that will be covered in this module as well. Now, apart from providing on-site videos and on-site photos, I will have a library ready for you of the common connection details used in standard residential projects, and you'll be able to download this library. So the connections that you will see on site, you will have the AutoCAD format and drafted in AutoCAD ready for you, so you can use in your projects. So the other thing, again, you will have a connection detail library. Now, I will run you through these connection detailing process 3 times. So we'll have 3 parts in Module 4. In the first part, on-site videos explaining common connection details used in Australian residential projects. The second part of the first part, standards and codes requirements, going through AS 1684.2 and AS 1684.3, and checking out the connection details provided by the Australian standards and codes, so we can have a look and see what other connection details the codes have to offer, and make sure at the same time that the connection details that we are using, they comply with the standards and codes as well. And the last part, explaining details drafted in AutoCAD to use in your structural drawings. So it's not just passing on the details to you and here you go, use it. No, that's not the case. So I will explain every single detail in the AutoCAD library, and I will tell you where and in which case you can use each detail. So this is the first part. In the second part, I will put the connection details of a real-life project in AutoCAD, which is the first project of your portfolio. So if you can remember, in the introduction for Module 1, 2, 3, I mentioned that throughout these modules, And throughout the whole course, if you purchase the whole course, I will be designing 2 projects from the start to the end. You will have access to the files for those projects as well, and you will be designing them at the same time with me. So you will be doing or repeating or shadowing the exact same thing that I do. So it's like you're working on your portfolio step by step with me. Okay, so project 1 is the second part, and the third part I will do the connection details in AutoCAD for project 2. Now again, 3 times I'm going to run you through the connection details. Of course, there won't be any confusion left. So you will be master at providing connection details. So when you go for an interview, you can easily explain the connection details and explain your design because you're master at it now. Okay, now what are the software packages that I will be using in this module? AutoCAD, standards and codes, which is not a software package, but it's a resource that I will be using, and then PDF, which is the standard software package. So I'll be using AutoCAD obviously to do the structural drafting and the connection details, and I will be using the standards and codes to make sure whatever I'm designing and whatever I'm proposing complies with the standards and codes. PDF to read the architectural drawings or to read the codes. Now, how can you have access to these software packages or to the standards and codes? You can just book a session to practice with AutoCAD and the necessary Australian standards and codes throughout the course. If you're an early bird, or if you have if you work in the afternoon and you can just have access or book a session at night, it doesn't matter what time. You can book a session anytime, 24/7, and you will have access to the codes and the software packages to practice with them. At the end of each video, I'll be summarizing each video to make sure all the information is categorized and saved in here. Now, part of the summarizing, if the content has the potential to provide a flow chart, I provide flow charts for those contents. So when you start working on a design, then you can just use these flow charts and your life will be much easier. So summarizing each video and providing flow charts for the contents that they have the potential to put them in a flow chart. After each submodule, you will get some quizzes and you can practice what you've learned throughout that submodule. Then on top of that, you have access to Learnpedia course discussion groups. You get to answer someone else's questions, or you get to type your questions and others will answer your question, and I will be part of the group as well and keeping an eye on the conversation. So it's not just you will have access to other students doing the course at the same time as well. Once you pass the final test for module 4, you will get a digital badge and a certificate, a PDF format of the certificate. Now, the digital badge, the good thing about it is that you can put the digital badge on your LinkedIn account, and your potential boss or recruiters, they can click on the digital badge on your LinkedIn profile, and they will see what you've learned throughout this course. If you purchase the whole course, including the internship, again, you will get to have access to a platform and being able to communicate and ask questions from other students doing the course at the same time. And I will be again a member of the group, so I keep an eye on the group as well. Now, when you do the internship, I assign different projects, so let's say project 1, 2, 3 throughout the internship, and every time you will be asked to design part of a project. For example, project 1 is assigned to you, and I ask you to design the roof members and do the drafting for it as well. Once you do that, you will get access to a video that's showing me designing the roof members and drafting the roof members for the same project. So you get to double check your design, or actually self-check your design by looking at the way I did the design. So you will have that opportunity to check the design, and if you have any mistakes, to correct them, and you will learn what is the right way of designing the project. So 2 projects throughout the whole course, and projects in the internship. You will have lots of projects in your portfolio that you designed based on Australian standards and codes, and they're all real life projects. Okay, now having said that, when you purchase the whole course, then you will receive a badge for the whole course when you pass the final tests for all the modules and the final test for the course. Same as the other digital badges, as I explained. You can use this digital badge on your LinkedIn account, and recruiters or your boss, they can click on it and they can see the things that you've learned. But the difference between this digital badge and the digital badge just for the module is that obviously when they click on it, they can see the list of items that you've learned is different, because obviously this is a badge for the whole course. So you will have module 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and if you pass the internship, that as well. And you will receive a PDF format of the certificate in case you need to use it for other purposes. So apart from LinkedIn, you can use the PDF format if you want to attach it to any emails or any other usages. Now, considering all that, everything is there for you. You get to design 2 projects throughout the course. You get to work on different projects in your internship if you purchase the whole course. So you have all the required factors. That do you have the local experience? Of course, you worked on local projects. You designed local projects. Are you independent in your when you design something? Of course, because you're designing on your own and you're just following the advice that I've been given to you. So not only you've been trained to how to design a project from the start to the end, but also if you purchase the full course with the internship, you will be trained how to design projects on your own from the start to the end without my supervision. However, you have access to the videos that I will be designing the same project so you can correct yourself. But after a couple of projects, you will be totally independent. Now, considering all that, when you apply for a job, of course, LearnPedia candidates are going to be the winners, because everything that you need, I will be passing on to you. So all you need to do is just to do your absolute best in the course, and there's no doubt that you will be getting the job.